Hey everyone, I'm Jaden,
And I'm Noah.
and we are the Super Gamer Bros, and this is the Super Gamer Bros podcast. We're just a couple of brothers who like playing games and like talking about games, so that's what we do.
Woo!
And today, Noah, I'm excited for this one. We're talking about Pac-Man World Re-Pac.
That's right, Jaden. The remakes of the original Pac-Man World, correct? We never played the first Pac-Man World. Pac-Man World 2 is a game that is very near and dear to our hearts as we played it in our childhood multiple times. It was a fantastic 3D platformer and very underrated. And when I say that, I just mean that I haven't met a lot of people who've played it, and I just thought it was a fantastic game from back in the day. That being said, this was the first opportunity we ever got to actually play the first in the series, and it is just as good as the one that we used to play. You know, it's the first, it's the foundation for everything in the one that we played. And all that foundation is still great in this game.
Yeah, that's absolutely true what Noah said. Growing up, we played Pac-Man World 2. That Pac-Man World 2 to this day is still one of my favorite games of all time. We also played at one point we got and played Pac-Man World 3. I didn't like that one as much. But yeah, I mean honestly, there was a point in time where I was just convinced that there was no Pac-Man World. The game just did not exist because we never saw it anywhere. We could never find it anywhere. And then I saw that this remake existed, Re-Pac, which I thought, oh man, two things. One, ooh, I want to play that so I can finally play the first Pac-Man World. Two, I hope this also means they're going to remake Pac-Man World 2 at some point.
I had not
And
considered
um,
that, but that would be awesome.
yeah, I mean it's possible. Yeah, and I
Do
mean
you
I
know
knew so
what
little
company
about
this
yeah
was?
that made the original or that made the remake.
Either, honestly. I don't know about the original now that you mention it, but the remake either.
I know the original. I'm pretty sure was just made by like Bandai Namco. I don't know if they were the developers or just the publishers. Yeah, it was developed by Namco Homotech or Home Tech, just Home Tech, and published by Namco. Yeah, because they had not
Interesting.
Bandai Namco had actually not even merged at that point.
Oh,
Um, yeah, the remake was developed by Now Production and published by Bandai Namco or Bandai. I don't know. Yeah, it was very interesting. Again, just knowing so little about Pac-Man World, I actually looked it up, like the game itself, researched it before this episode because we're playing a remake, and typically, we've talked about remakes before, and typically when we do that, I, try to look up the original game and see, what differences there are, or just,
right.
have
Familiarize
familiarize
yourself with
myself
the
with.
history of
Um,
the development of the game.
yeah, and the original Pac-Man World is the first game that I literally knew nothing going in. Like I didn't know when it came out. I didn't even know what console it was released on, which it was released in 1999 for the on the PlayStation, the original PlayStation. Also, the original Pac-Man World also came out on Pac-Man's 20th anniversary. So I guess it was meant to be like a 20th anniversary game. But yeah, playing the remake, I think you know it was super cool just to finally kind of have the I don't know closure, I guess you could say, of seeing where the Pac-Man World series started. Because I do think, I mean, Pac-Man World is very different from Pac-Man World 2, but there are still elements that, oh, I remember this feature in Pac-Man World 2. So, you can see kind of where they started from when they made the second one.
Exactly. So, Jaden, what is Pac-Man World?
Pac-Man World is Pac-Man, but a 3D action platformer. The first Pac-Man World, in terms of the, well, let's talk. Let's get into the setting here. So, Pac-Man World Re-Pac takes place in the Pac-Man world. There's not really like a named universe for it. It's just kind of where Pac-Man and all the ghosts live. Um,
The
it has
Pac
the
people, mind you.
yes, Pac-Man and his whole family. The game has a classic platformer setup of you're in kind of a main hub area, which is Ghost Island, and the hub area is split into 6 smaller areas, each containing several platforming levels and a boss level. So
Classic
it's kind
platformer
of
setup.
yeah, it's basically like the warp room in Crash Bandicoot
That's
2
exactly what I was
and
thinking.
3. Yeah, where you have, you're in, oh, this is the area, here are 3 levels and a boss, and then you go left or right and there's more areas. It is all kind of one large interconnected island. It's not necessarily like, compared to the warp room on Crash 2 where you have different levels and you like go up and down elevator. It's all kind of one open area you can just run to. And it obviously each room is themed, and
Right.
all the levels in that room follow that theme. I did think, just talk about the themes. There's the first world pirate ship. There is ruins, space, funhouse, factory, and then the boss mansion, which is kind of like graveyard, I guess, themed. It's kind of like, yeah, it's a graveyard. I really liked the themes in this level. I thought they were pretty unique. In my personal experience with platformers, I don't think, other than like the ruins, I hadn't really encountered many of these themes before.
No, absolutely. I too just liked them. I thought they were great. And it wasn't disjointing like Crash when there's a theme for the levels, but not a theme inside the levels.
Yeah, it
Um,
doesn't like hop around the themes. Is what
right.
you're saying?
No, I
Yeah,
like the level design, the platforming, and the enemies. Yeah, no, the setting was pretty basic for this game. You
yeah.
know, classic platformers.
Speaking of basic, let's get into the story. Once again, the story is very basic in Pac-Man World. And that's also kind of typical of most platformers on the PlayStation 1. More, I guess you would say, style, not style.
Gameplay
I
heavy.
guess, yeah, gameplay versus story. They're very much the story more so just exists because it has to. And this is actually the very first Super Gamer Bros episode where I actually had to write out a decent chunk of this story description because normally, I just copy and paste the
It
story from
says decent
Wikipedia.
chunk. It's one paragraph.
Yeah, no, and like a decent chunk of this I had to write myself for the first time because Wikipedia did not include a description of the story really. It included a description of, you could say, it was like a premise, a synopsis, but typically we go through the whole story. So I just thought to myself, oh, like this doesn't really tell the whole story. I guess I have to fill it out, which luckily I had played the game very recently, so I was able to do that. But yeah, it was just interesting. I've never had to do that before. And it's a paragraph. This might be, other than, Lego Star Wars, where we didn't talk about the story at all because it was just going through the story of the movies, might be the shortest story section in any of our episodes.
That makes sense to me.
All right, so let's get into it. The plot follows Pac-Man's enemies, the ghosts, crashing his 20th birthday and kidnapping his friends and family to bring them to their homeland of Ghost Island.
Get it because it's the 20th anniversary?
That is correct. With his birthday in ruins and his family in trouble, Pac-Man sets out to rescue them and defeat the ghosts. That's all it says on Wikipedia. So the rest of this I came up with. I apologize if it's worded poorly. He makes his way through several worlds of the game, ranging in theme from a pirate ship to a circus to space. After defeating the boss of each area, Pac-Man goes to the boss mansion and takes on the evil Talkman, an evil robot counterpart of Pac-Man. After defeating Talkman, he is revealed to be a gray ghost. Jealous of Pac-Man's popularity, he created the Talkman suit and aimed to take down Pac-Man. Pac-Man forgives Talkman for his crimes, and the Pac family and ghosts return to Pac-Man's home to celebrate his 20th birthday.
Isn't that sweet?
Isn't that sweet? Very Pac-Man. Because that's something I do really like that about Pac-Man World and Pac-Man World 2 is like
The ghosts.
no, Pac-Man very much just kind of seems confused, but also happy the whole time through all of these games. He doesn't talk, and he is either smiling the whole time, or he'll have his mouth in like an
Like a
oh kind of
worried face.
surprised face. Yeah, like that's it. Those are his only two facial expressions, no matter what's happening. So it's like if there's a reveal, he'll be like, oh, but then he's just back to smiling and fighting and rescuing people. Very simple hero.
Yeah, I was thinking, in my head, these games are fantastic. They stand up there among the best platformers on the PlayStation. So, and it's not like the character, Pac-Man has a lot more recognizability than Crash Bandicoot, Ratchet and Clank, Jack and Daxter. These characters who started from nothing and became very popular, right? Why did Pac-Man not get more platformers and, you know,
Yeah, I completely
continue?
agree with you in that assessment because I mean Pac-Man World and Pac-Man World 2 are both very good games. I don't know, maybe we're in the minority with those opinions because I've never, you know, researched that to see, if critically they did poorly or
Right, their
something.
reception.
Yeah, but I mean, I think they're both great, just like you said, like it stands the test of time, at least Pac-Man World 2, and you know, as being, one of our favorite platformers of all time and a really, really good platformer. And being Pac-Man, like you said, kind of having an established fan base kind of at the time when this game was released compared to, the Crash Bandicoots, the Spyros, the Jack
Right.
and Daxters and stuff. Yeah, it is a bit surprising that they didn't I guess perform better. It
Yeah.
certainly didn't have that kind of lasting effect.
Right. It's like we've
But
said, we've almost never even heard other people in the community talk about them, even.
yeah, I mean I don't think I met anyone outside of our family that knew what Pac-Man was, Pac-Man World.
Anyway,
Yeah, anyway, that's the story. I like it. It's simple, but it's still fun. Talk Man is a jerk. Uh you beat him and that's yeah, it's simple.
very simple. So anyway, the gameplay in Pac-Man World, as Jaden said, is pretty simple. It's platforming and combat going through levels and boss fights. So Pac-Man World is a 3D platformer that works on a level-by-level basis. You have to run, jump, and rev roll your way through each level, defeating enemies and collecting pellets to reach the end. You can also mash a button in the air to float.
Yeah, I think it's the square button, but I couldn't remember.
That's true.
Um
Oh,
I was just going to say that
yeah, go
float
ahead.
is incredibly useless.
Yeah, I never used it.
You very slowly fall. Like I guess you do technically float, but you can't move while floating. Like if you push a direction button,
That's
the
useless.
floating ends and he falls. Yeah, it's incredibly useless. I don't know why it exists. No, you sorry, you can continue. I just wanted to say that about the float. It's like that's why it's even just kind of tacked on at the end there because
Oh yeah, no, I get
I
you.
even when I
You
first
just
was
forgot
making
where you
this,
wanted to put it in.
I just forgot that it existed because I never used it and when I remembered it, I just thought, oh yeah, I guess we should. Oh, we'll at least mention it. I'll just toss it in there somewhere.
Yeah, I guess I'll just talk about the traversal since that's like the jumping, the
Uh huh.
platforming, that kind of stuff. It is just like Pac-Man World 2, except this one, it is 3D. Pac-Man can move away and towards the camera. True. But the levels are made in a more 2D sense where you know, Pac-Man is moving in a line basically from left to right in nearly every level. Would you agree with that assessment?
Yeah. I guess it's a classic 3D platformer kind of thing to be less kind of open. Pac-Man World 2, the levels felt very very large, and I don't even necessarily mean like lengthwise, like oh it takes a long time to beat them, but they just felt very open. Whereas in Pac-Man World, it's very linear. There's only the one path you are on. There's kind of no exploration at all. Um,
Right.
there are like smaller areas that are open. There are sometimes, where you do have to platform towards or away from the screen. But I think it's very much like Crash 1, where there are those very specific instances where you're moving away from the screen or towards the screen. I would say in Pac-Man World makes up roughly 10% of your gameplay, and the rest of it is just going left to right. Noah, any comments?
No, sorry. Yeah, I mean, I just agree with you because it's the oh yeah, point I was making that the levels are a lot denser, smaller, less open, like you were arguing. I didn't think about that, the fact that they're less open. I wanted to see if at some point in this. Okay, yes, you do. Okay. I'll talk about it later then, because I wanted to mention something more about that, but that's gonna come up later. So I'll just get to the combat.
Get to the combat, Noah.
All right. Pac-Man has two main moves, which can be used to defeat enemies and other objects. A butt bounce that can shatter crates, crush enemies, and a rev roll that allows him to propel up ramps and activate moving platforms. Those are the only two main things that Pac-Man can do. The rev roll, gosh, it is just as bad as I remember. The rev roll is always hard to control exactly where you're going for me. I don't love it. It's basically the Sonic Dash, but not as good. Right? Would you agree with that? That it's kind of like a Sonic Dash mechanic?
Oh yeah, I mean the classic Sonic spin
Like
dash.
you stand
That's exactly
still
what it is.
and then you
Yeah, that's
rev
I mean
up and
that's
then yeah, you're
yeah,
going.
that's exactly
Okay.
what it is.
Right. They
The
call it
only
the
difference
rev
is
roll.
yeah, the only difference is Sonic starts spinning, Pac-Man runs and then spins. That is the only difference between those two.
Very, very true. Oh, the butt bounce though is fantastic. I love the butt bounce in Pac-Man. Excuse me, Pac-Man games because it is both a method of combat and extremely helpful in traversal because it gives you a higher jump than if you just jump off the ground. So you can just continuously almost butt bounce through an entire level,
That is
and
very true. Yes.
it's you're jumping higher and farther than you would otherwise. And it goes faster. Like it's just so beneficial.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I did want to say, yeah, the butt bounce does. I guess it kind of you could say it replaces a double jump feature because you have to press X in the air. You press your jump button a second time in the air to butt bounce, and that would sometimes get me where I'd be in the air and like I'm afraid I'm not gonna make a jump or not gonna make a jump, and I would press X again to double jump, but then he would just butt bounce to his death. That happened to me. That happened to me a fair few times.
oh, that's Pac-Man. You got to be careful with that one.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, Pac-Man also has a health meter that allows him to sustain 3 hits before dying. This is the exact same system of meter that was in the one we played, so I was very familiar with it, and I like it. 3 hits is not a lot, but honestly, I only really died to falling, and they give you a lot of health throughout the level, so dying really never becomes an issue.
Yeah, and
Uh,
it is technically. I guess I worded this weird. It's 4 hits for you to die, but you can take 3 hits and keep living.
uh, my bad.
No,
Like I
okay,
said, Pac-Man can find small fractions of health to replenish it in levels, as well as extra lives that just increase the number of respawns Pac-Man gets before a game over. We all know how it goes. Pac-Man also encounters several ghost enemies, which can only be defeated after eating a power pellet, which is typically spawned by hitting a switch in the level. This mechanic was somewhat in the game we played, however, it was different. And in this one, when Pac-Man eats a power pellet, he becomes a giant Pac-Man, uh, moving around that you control and can still jump with. I'm not sure if he can butt bounce. I don't know if I tried that, but
I would have to say no, he can't.
yeah, I
But
don't think
I
so.
also I never tried that either.
Right. I actually really like this because it was different from the second game. In the second game, does anything happen to Pac-Man, or do the ghosts just change?
I think just the ghost change because that is a difference in Re-Pac versus the original. In the original, nothing happens to Pac-Man. The ghosts just turn blue.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, so that is something that was just for the remake where he turns into a giant Pac-Man and then fights like he can eat the ghosts.
Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, and in like any areas that have platforming pits as well, those are typically covered with at least like yellow kind of shield to prevent Pac-Man from falling. Again, as I'm that's something that's new to the remake because in the original he was still just normal Pac-Man, so it wasn't really necessary. Anyway,
That makes so much sense, actually.
yeah, the combat was. I mean, I think it was fine. There aren't really different enemy types. I mean, there are different looking enemies, but they all are killed the same, one of two ways. Oh man, I can't believe I didn't even put this in combat. No, this is actually very important. I never even put this in the document.
What is it?
Very interesting concept that I'm 90% sure is not in Pac-Man World 2. Pac-Man can throw the pellets he creates to attack enemies. I think it's very cool adaptation of classic Pac-Man pellets. Every pellet you grab in the game adds to his pellet total, and that total, while also kind of just being how you score in the game, um, how you get points, also is Pac-Man's ammo, and he can throw Pac pellets at enemies. The throw button, they kill anything they hit typically in one hit. And then also you can hold down the throw button, and when you hold it long enough, a pellet kind of starts to glow, and then it explodes when it lands, which can kill multiple enemies in a small area. That was very. I did that a lot. Very important part of
Never
combat.
used it.
Oh, I did. Well, I guess I did just because of trophies. There's a trophy to kill a certain amount of enemies doing it. It is between the three. It is the least useful attack.
It just takes too long.
It is a very slow animation, and he does not throw them far. Those are both true statements.
All right, so without further ado, we can move on to the additional gameplay mechanics.
All right, I guess by your silence, I'll be the one talking here. Um, so chests and switches. These are, a big part of every single level. Throughout each level, the platforming levels, not necessarily the boss levels, you will come across several chests and switches. A chest usually contain a fruit. Pac-Man collect fruits, that's a thing. Or a power-up for Pac-Man. Yeah, those are typically what chests are. They can also contain a Pac-Man letter. We'll talk about those later as well. Switches typically advance the level in some way by spawning a needed fruit, spawning ghosts and pellets, or sometimes activating moving platforms. Yeah, they're just both a big part of the game.
Absolutely. I mean, you spend the whole game, every level you hit 5 switches, you open 5 chests. Like there's just a ridiculous amount of chests and switches in this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the way you progress through the game. I do think it's cool. I do think it's unique in terms of kind of like how you get through the levels in Pac-Man World. I think is unique compared to other platformers at the time. And yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the game. Is you're hunting for the next switch or chest you need for whatever you need to progress. Anyway, talk about the fruits. There are a bunch of fruits: the apples, the bananas, the strawberries, the melons, the bells. Classic fruit, the bell. Galaxians, which are that weird kind of spaceshipy kind of symbol. Cherries, oranges, and peaches. I guess I'll talk about it here in general is I think Pac-Man World does an absolutely fabulous job at integrating all of these classic things from classic Pac-Man being, the original arcade game, straight up just a picture of a maze and dots, and you're a moving head collecting these dots, and sometimes there's fruit. That's the original game. That's it. And Pac-Man World does a great job of taking those very simple concepts,
And
ideas, and
like paying
integrating them
homage to
into,
them.
yes, paying homage to them and integrating them into this 3D world in a way that it works. And I don't think it's like egregious. I don't think it is silly or kind of feels weird. And oh, they're clearly just doing this, to pay homage to the original Pac-Man, but it doesn't really fit with the game. I think everything fits very, very well.
No,
Um,
these aspects and attention to detail where they're nodding back to the original game, that's what makes it feel like Pac-Man.
yeah. So anyway, finding fruits allows Pac-Man to open gates containing important items like Pac-Man letters or keys, or even just kind of other paths in the level. So yeah, again, kind of going back to how just the gameplay works level-wise. Typically, you're trying to find a fruit to open a specific gate to advance the level or get you some of the kind of additional collectibles. I like it. It involves a lot of backtracking, which I don't mind in the slightest, just because I think the levels are typically shorter
And very fun.
fun, and the game is also very generous at if you find a gate and you don't have the fruit for that gate yet, especially if it's more story
It's
related and less
nearby.
collectible related, yeah, you're gonna find the fruit within 2 minutes. So yeah, it's not it never I felt like got old of, oh man, I can't find this fruit and I've been looking for I went backwards, I went forwards, I can't find this chest or anything. I think the game was very generous in terms of not being too much of a hassle to find anything like that.
Yeah,
Uh,
completely. All right, Jaden.
all right, Noah, tell us about mazes.
Mazes?
Mazes.
Okay. In every main platforming level, you can find, as Jaden mentioned, a Galaxian fruit, which looks kind of like a spaceship, pixelated, and you can use it to unlock a maze challenge in every level. And, excluding boss levels, obviously, but the maze challenges are throwbacks to classic Pac-Man, where you must collect all the pellets in a maze while avoiding ghosts. Doing these adds points to your level score. Also, in the front of the ship area is a board where you can access maze levels you've already unlocked and replay them, as well as additional mazes and the Maze Marathon Challenge, which, if I'm not mistaken, is pretty much endless mode.
It's not endless mode, but I
No,
mean, it
there
might as
is a
well be.
limit.
It might as well be. Yeah, well, so talk like just kind of talk about the maze board real quick. That's in the world, in the open world, the hub area. That's what I was looking for. It has 6 maze levels per world, so 36 in total. Every world except the first world has 3 levels, has, well, 3 maze levels when you're going through the platforming levels. The first world only has 2. And then, so you unlock those by unlocking the mazes in the level, and then the rest of them are just always available to you when you have the worlds unlocked. So yeah, so 6 total. Once you beat all 36 levels, you unlock the maze marathon. And the maze marathon, you just play through all 36 of those levels in one, like you have to do it in one sitting.
Oh my gosh.
So 36 mazes is where it taps out or tops out. I mean, these are a great part of the game. This is something that was in Pac-Man World 2 as well. Um, they're typically a little bit harder to kind of find the Galaxian and get back. It's just a little more well hidden. I would still not say it is hard to find, just a little bit extra work required. Um, I mean, these are one of the highlights of the game to me. I absolutely love the mazes, that
No,
classic Pac-Man.
absolutely.
There's a bit of a twist on it. It has the kind of Pac-Man World graphics. Again, when you grab the power pellet, you turn into a big Pac-Man, which is very funny because he's too big for the maze, and the edges, like the walls next to him, always are legitimately moved outward as he's making his way through. It's pretty funny. And I mean, yeah, it's just classic Pac-Man, and it's really fun. And there's typically changes in the maze levels just to make it a little more unique. Yeah, Noah.
Oh yeah, this is by far the best part of Pac-Man World games to me. Because it is like, look at this amazing 3D rendition of Pac-Man we made, and hey, here's some 2D Pac-Man we made also. Like it's just a step further to than nodding to the original game, but they made a whole section of original game in this one, and that's how it was in Pac-Man World 2. And it's just a really neat concept, really it just speaks to me that the developers love Pac-Man and I love Pac-Man. So yeah, this game, the fact that the mazes were in was always my favorite part of the game.
Yeah, they're really fun. I absolutely love the mazes. I guess you could potentially say I have two complaints about the mazes. One, I think they're just a tad too easy. Two, again, very
I
nitpicky
like
here.
the easiness.
Yeah, very nitpicky here. But in the mazes, you start out in this kind of 45-degree angle, little zoomed in. But if you press square, it takes you. I think it's called like maze view or
I
something like
didn't know
that. It
that,
takes you
and
to
I
that.
hated it.
Yeah, it takes you to that typical classic Pac-Man, like top down. You can see the whole maze at once, kind of thing. I
That would have
feel
been
like
useful.
yeah, it should have defaulted to that, and the fact that you literally have to change it at the start of every maze is just a tad annoying. But again, like I played several mazes with that kind of 45-degree angle view, and it's still not hard. It's just I'm just sitting there
It's a little
thinking,
more
hey,
stressful.
yeah, and I'm just sitting there thinking, hey, this is a classic Pac-Man maze. Just have the top-down view the whole time,
Yeah, that's my
like
only
classic
complaint about
Pac-Man.
it in this
Yeah,
game. I did not like the camera, and I didn't know you could change it. That's upsetting. Uh yeah, but still the mazes are the best part for me. Even
yeah,
if
they're
they were quote
awesome.
unquote too easy.
Yeah, whatever. Noah, talk about the power ups.
Well, some chests contain power-ups. Either the metal suit or the bomb dot. Right, the power-ups in this game are a little few, in my opinion. I believe in Pac-Man World 2 there were more.
It
Uh,
certainly is what I feel like I remember it being like. There were more, yeah.
right, I can't really remember, but uh, anyway, the metal suit allows Pac-Man to walk and butt bounce underwater, and that allows him to destroy chests or enemies in water sections and stuff. It also keeps him from getting hit, gives him like an armored state. And then the bomb dot just kills all enemies on screen.
Yeah, so the metal suit is cool. That I 100% remember is in Pac-Man World
Yep,
2. It makes him invincible. It allows him to defeat enemies. Um, Also, some enemies are metal. There are metal enemies. You can only kill them if you have the metal suit on as well. I wish the metal enemies were in the game a bit more. Again, just kind of adding more to the
that
the
layer
the
of
metal suit.
difficulty.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and yeah, the metal suit is awesome. The being able to walk and butt bounce underwater is really cool. Very fun mechanic. The bomb dot, I think, literally only appears like 4 times in the entire game, and twice of those is in one of the boss battles.
It
Like
is
two of
very
those is in one of the
scarce.
boss battles. Yeah, almost to the point that I'm like, why does this exist? You never use it. It's never there.
Yeah, 100% that's how I feel about the bomb
Yeah,
dot.
yeah. But if you grab the bomb dot, yeah, I don't know. I wasn't paying attention if you said it earlier, but it kills all the enemies on the screen. And again, 4 times in the entire game, and it might only be three. I can't even remember exactly. But that's whatever. Those are the power ups. Noah, talk about if you have any comments on the power ups, or if you don't, just move on to family members.
No comments on the power-ups. They were scarce. Family members. This is interesting. In some levels, you must find keys to unlock cages. The cages contain the 6 members of Pac-Man's family that have been kidnapped at the start of the game. Rescuing Wow, I didn't know this, but rescuing them gives Pac-Man a bonus during the final boss battle. I did not rescue any of them.
Yeah. So talk since you didn't rescue them. Talk about them. I'll talk about them.
That's fair.
This is funny enough, considering this is the whole reason that Pac-Man leaves, and goes after the ghosts. It's straight up the only. It's a completely optional thing, which I do find kind of funny. But also, yeah, this is also I think the most intricate part of the game in terms of the puzzle solving, thought process, whatever. Finding the key and the cage. Sometimes they're in the same level, sometimes they're not. Uh, but yeah, typically a lot of backtracking, grabbing different fruits to get the key, and then again backtracking, grabbing different fruits to get access to the cage to then unlock it.
I didn't know
Uh,
they could be in different levels. That's pretty cool.
yeah, it's rare. Like I think it happens. I mean, I guess not rare. I think it happens twice, which is I guess a third of the game. But whatever. Yeah, it's interesting. You can talk to them in the overworld, and they say some stuff. It's fun, and they do help you in the final boss battle. To tell you how this, no, you might feel silly because the final boss battle it can be kind of difficult. every time you get knocked down to one hit, so once you get hit 3 times, one of them will completely refill your health.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so basically you can have, if you have all 6 of them rescued by the time you face the boss, 6 insta full heals at your disposal, which I used all of them when I did the final boss. So very helpful.
That is really interesting.
Now, I want to talk about the boss battles specifically. Pac-Man World, which came out in '99, and Pac-Man World Re-Pac, which is probably there are a lot of the boss battles are different and some in very different ways. Whatever, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But one thing I love about this game, especially I feel like in contrast to a lot of other platforming games on the PlayStation, is how varied the boss battles are. Um, like, and I love that. I think the boss battles are a highlight of this game. In most platforming games, especially of the era, looking at Crash Bandicoot and Spyro, the boss battles are kind of laughable and just many people would say the worst part of the game. Not necessarily that
They
they're
leave much
bad,
to be
just
desired.
yeah, leave much to be desired. Boss battles in this game are absolutely great. And one thing I really like is each boss battle kind of focuses on a different part of Pac-Man's abilities, especially at the beginning. Or they introduce a new one-off mechanic, which keeps the boss battles fresh and interesting throughout the entire course of the game, and I very much appreciate that. So to kind of go through the bosses, you have HMS Windbag, who you defeat by popping up shields using your butt bounce.
Right.
Anubis, who is this giant kind of mummy statue thing, you defeat him by charging up these I guess you'd say charging up these rev roll platforms. Just that's the only ability you can use to damage him. King Galaxian is in a Galaga style shooter where he's above you on the screen. You're in this little spaceship and you're shooting at him to damage him. There's enemies going back and forth, shooting stuff at you, all kinds of chaos. Very interesting, very cool. The Clown Racers, which is straight up just a 1 lap race, just in the middle of this platforming game. The Chrome Keeper, he's a giant robot, and your big thing with him is you're on like conveyor belts going back and forth, trying to move you around. You have to get the metal suit to be able to step on these hot pipes to then rev roll into him and damage him, while avoiding these magnets on the ceiling that can pick you up when you're metal. And then Talkman. Talkman, I thought he was a cool final boss. You kind of use everything against him. You have to rev roll him. You have to get the metal suit and rev roll him because he eats a metal pellet as well and turns metal. You have to the only boss you have that requires you have to throw for at least the first phase. You have to throw pellets at him to damage him. Very interesting boss fights. I think the boss fights are absolutely a highlight of this game. And again, being originally came out in '99. Very cool to see all these kind of unique boss fights and interesting boss fights in an era where boss fights and platformers were typically not the best.
Right. The boss fights are, as you said, some of the most interesting of the era. The fact that they're tied to game mechanics makes them thoughtful in terms of gameplay, because they each feel fresh. When we talk about the design of the bosses visually, or their motivations or what's going on, really, there's much to be desired, of course. But the fact that it ties to each one of Pac-Man's kind of abilities makes it stand out to me from the other platformers, because Pac-Man World 2's boss fights were also like that.
Yeah, yeah. I do just want to interrupt for a second to say you said visually they leave much to be desired. I thought visually they were great.
Well, I mean, like the I'm not talking about how the bosses look themselves. Thank you for asking that, because I should clarify what I mean there. What I'm talking about is the bosses' move sets. They each really only have 1 or 2 move sets, and you counter that, and that's the boss fight. They're just a little simple, a little easy. Kind of the complaint you had with the actual levels, but I have with the boss fights.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, boss fights are fun. Noah, why don't you talk about the Pac-Man letters?
Oh my gosh, I hate the Pac-Man letters. But the Pac-Man letters are, Pacman, are hidden in each platforming level. Finding the letters to spell out Pac-Man unlocks access to the bonus level at the end of the platforming level. Well, I didn't know that. What are the bonus levels like? Oh, wait, they're here.
I'll
Bonus
tell you about the
levels.
bonus levels. Well,
Oh,
hold on,
oh,
hold on,
oh,
hold on. Let's talk about the
okay.
Pac-Man letters. I didn't realize you thought they were annoying. I thought they were completely fine. I enjoyed getting them.
Well, I just, I wasn't going for completion, so I didn't want to have to backtrack. There's a lot of backtracking in Pac-Man World games, and if you don't want to complete the game, I don't want to backtrack, so I just want to go through the level, go through the whole game in one run.
That's fair. Yeah, I did like the Pac-Man letters. Again, just adding a little extra difficulty to the levels, having to backtrack. Because most of the time they're behind fruits, so you have to, go and find the fruit, or they are, or they have to be spawned in by pressing a switch.
Yeah.
And when you press the switch, they spawn in, then you have to go get them. Yep. Again, it's just that extra layer of difficulty, and they add the bonus levels. Bonus levels are very fun. The bonus levels are short platforming challenges at the end of each level. The goal is to collect all the fruit in the time limit for bonus points that are added to your score. There's a different level and theme for each area of the game, and typically you do that same theme 3 times. So, for example, now I'll take you through the themes here, since you didn't do them. Anyway, so in the pirate ship level, how that works is you start on this platform. There's a chest next to you. You hit the chest. You get a fruit. Not a fruit. You get a metal ball to get the metal suit. Then you have to go down into this water, stepping on all of these like spikes, kind of like sea mines kind of stuff, grabbing them, getting all the fruit, and you have to sort of climb your way back down. And then the suit will run out. You have to climb your way back up to the other side where there's another chest with a metal ball. You get that. You have to just collect all the fruit, whatever. Man, I'm trying to remember some of these now.
I did do one, and
Uh-huh.
I just didn't see the point because it was only about the points.
Yeah, it's only about the points. Then there's like one where I think it's the circus one where the fruits are all on balloons, and the way the balloons work is they pop after you stand on them for a certain amount of time. So you have to jump between the balloons, fall to different balloons, whatever. Kind of like a alternating grid sort of to collect all the fruits. In the factory, you're on like a conveyor belt, having to avoid these hammers slamming down and collecting fruits, and then activating switches. In the graveyard, there's a bunch of graves, and there are like paths that the fruit kind of come out of and move on these like squares, you could say, and not graves, coffins. You have to jump on the coffins, and the coffins disappear after you jump on them and stuff, but then reappear after a while. Yeah, bunch of different stuff like that. They're fun. I actually really enjoyed the bonus levels. Yeah, they were interesting to play. I do like that, there is a different theme for every world, so you're not playing the exact same bonus level every single time.
Yeah, that is really cool.
Yeah, they're really cool. I appreciate them. Anyway, but as you said, they only just add to your points. And then the slot machine. So throughout each level, you can find and collect slot tokens. And once you reach the end of the level, you are taken to a giant slot machine in which you can spin to match up 3 fruits to gain extra lives. It requires timing to match up the fruits. It doesn't go so fast that you cannot time it. And the pattern on each like part of the wheel, I guess, repeats every single time. It never changes. So like I was able to get down to get 3 lives every single time I rolled, and I was able to do that with like probably 80% success. It's not bad.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's just there. I honestly wish
I
there
did
was.
not like it at all.
Yeah. Um, I like it at first, but I honestly wish there was a way to skip it and just not do it if you don't want to, because I mean in some levels you can find, I think the most you find is 6 in a single level, and in every single like platforming level, typically you'll find at least 4. I would say 4 is probably the average. Yeah, it's just annoying, especially when you maybe don't need the lives, don't care, just having to do this 4, 5, 6 times after each level. It does get a bit old.
Right.
Anyway, that's the slot machine. We're gonna move on now to the remake updates. So, as we have said many times, we only played the remake of this game, did not play the original. I did actually look up and watch a full play of the original, mostly, to see kind of what differences there are. And as it kind of, as I'll read here, Pac-Man World Re-Pac features several alterations to the game, ranging from visual overhauls to several worlds and alterations to gameplay. Various stages have been altered from their original counterparts, as well as boss battles being overhauled and new enemies being added. Yeah, so talk about that. One thing in the remake that is not in the original is to end a level, you have to destroy a giant Talkman statue. In the original, the way you beat them is you have to collect all the power pellets in a level. That's how you beat the level. You can't skip any of those. That's a bit crazy. Also, yeah, bosses are complete. Well, some bosses are completely different. Like the windbag fight is, I think, the same. I think in the remake is just longer and a little bit harder. The Anubis boss fight in the original game, he's called Anubis Rex. I don't know why they changed the name. That boss fight also is a bit like it starts out easier, but then in the end, I think it's harder than the original because you have the four Reveral platforms in the new game. It's all one solid platform, and as you do more hits to him, parts of the platform fall off. In the
Yep.
original, you actually just have to straight up jump to every single platform every time. But there aren't like enemies that attack you. It's just the hazards you have to avoid. That the boss launches at you. Those aren't too difficult.
Right.
Oh, the Chrome Keeper boss fight is completely different. In the original, on that one, all you have to do is butt bounce on 5 switches. But the switches are like it's like steam vents, so you have to avoid his attacks until you get a metal suit ball, and then once you have the metal suit, you can butt bounce on the 5 platforms. That's it. It's completely different from the original. And the boss, Talkman, is very different. In the original, it's really only one kind of phase. The boss fight, I think the best way to describe the differences in the Talkman fight is in the new one. It's so theatrical. You know, you're fighting him on this stage. In the original, it's just kind of a platform. Um, you take down one health bar, and then he does the next health bar. Like he turns giant, and you have to hit his feet to knock him over, to then climb on top and hit his head. That's not in the original. He's got like uh the metal suit, him activating a metal suit and you needing a metal suit to rev roll in. That doesn't exist in the original. Yeah, also the original, the ending is kind of weird, kind of sad. Oh no, let me tell you one big difference. In the original, everyone just talks.
What?
Like Talkman and all the ghosts, they just speak English. They just talk.
Like
Complete like
lines are written or there's voices?
there are voices. That's it.
Odd.
Yeah, it's very weird after playing the new one where for some reason they don't. It's just noises with, subtitles. Yeah, in the ending, so in the ending of the new one, the remake, Pac-Man forgives him and they all are friends, go to the party. In the end of the original, Pac-Man beats him. Oh, and also, like in the new one, Pac-Man like gets thrown on this cake. He eats the power pellet on the cake, turns into this giant Pac-Man, and is able to beat Talkman. In the original, none of that happens. You beat him, the suit goes. Here's the little gray ghost, and he's like, "Oh, it's just not fair. Nobody ever likes a ghost." That's what it sounds like. And then Pac-Man eats a power pellet and then eats the ghost, and that's the end. That's it.
Oh my
It just ends like
gosh.
that, and that's it. And I was like, "Wow, that's kind of dark." And again, he does all this with his serial killer Pac-Man smile. Yeah, but yeah, the new one, yeah, as I said earlier in the story, he actually like forgives him, and they all become friends and stuff. And I thought, well, that's a much better ending in my humble opinion. Yeah, kind of insanity, that original ending. Anyway, yeah, those are the big changes that I noticed. Uh, yeah, the remake also introduces several new techniques for Pac-Man, such as being able to destroy level objects after eating a power pellet, like being able to destroy boxes and stuff. That's not something he did in the original. Pac-Man hovering in the air, as we said earlier, completely useless ability. I don't know why they added it. And also some of the Pac-Man family was changed. Like Miss Pac-Man is now Pac Mom in the remake. Um, there's not really a reason that is officially stated for that, but I guess there's some issue going on with who owns Miss Pac-Man and stuff, and copyright and stuff. So that's the assumed reason of why she's not called Miss Pac-Man in this game.
That makes sense to me. I hate when licensing issues tie things up like that.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, in this game, it really doesn't matter.
No, she's there. I mean,
Yeah,
I
she's
love
there. She's in it.
Pac-Mom.
Yeah, I mean, remember when we would go to the arcade to play Pac-Man and Pac-Mom all night long? Anyway, I thought the joke was funny and just whatever, Noah. Anyway, let's move on. That's all the changes. Not much to it.
6 minutes
Oh, okay.
and 10
Um,
seconds.
cool. Now we'll move on to notable trophies. There's really only one difficult trophy in this game. It is a very easy trophy list if you don't count Retro Gamer. Clear round 9 of original Pac-Man. Another cool thing about this game that is also in the original is once you beat the story, you unlock the ability to play the original Pac-Man arcade machine. That's really cool. I love when kind of remakes or reimaginings of classic video game characters, video games in general do this. It's very cool. You have to beat 9 levels of Pac-Man. Noah, let me tell you, Pac-Man is very hard. Very hard. Um, I did this. It was hard. Literally,
I
in the
don't
guide
know
I
if
looked
I
up,
could do it.
it listed like, hey, here are because of how the game was designed and how the ghosts act in the original game, specific paths to follow that'll clear out most of the level, and then you should be able to get the rest of it okay. Having you like do weird turns just to kind of trick the AI of the game, trick the AI of the game and stuff. It's very difficult, but like I did it. I followed those guides. I screwed up sometimes. It was super stressful. Oh my god! But I did it. Congratulations! I'm awesome. But yeah, it's a very like it's such a douchebag of a trophy to put in this game compared to the rest of the list and how easy it is. Oh my god! Like come on, people. Anyway, yeah, that's it. That's the notable trophies.
Huh.
Now, yeah, I don't know, no idea.
No, I didn't play the
Yeah,
original
no.
Pac-Man board.
I mean, hey, original Pac-Man, fun game,
Duh.
but hard. Noah, what is? We're gonna. Oh, sorry, we're moving on to our questions now. Noah, what is favorite moments?
My favorite moment is actually the fact that they made the ending positive for everybody.
Oh, okay, I'm glad.
Like, the ghosts were brought in, you know.
Yeah. Hmm.
I just thought I thought I remembered Pac-Man World 2 having an ending like that that was more like positive and on a friendly note,
I'm
but
pretty
maybe
sure it
I'm
does.
mistaken. I don't,
I
yeah,
I I, I
I
think it
can't
does.
quite remember. So I just like that. I felt like I thought that like I tied that with Pac-Man as a character. Like he's just so blissfully happy. He's like, "Hey, it's no problem, I saved my
Yeah,
family. You guys want to come hang out, eat with us? That's chill." Like, wow, Pac-Man's a really cool dude.
that
In
is
the
true.
first
I
game,
very
I
much had
guess
that same
not.
thought. Yeah, I guess not. Uh, my favorite moment. One, I do agree with you. I think the ending in this game is much better. My favorite moment is the classic platforming. I think Pac-Man World's platforming is absolutely solid. It's very good, very well done, and it's just a classic platformer. And I love platforming games. And when it came down to like me just platforming through the levels, playing it, I think Pac-Man's jump is a very good platforming jump. It's maybe a little floaty, but he gets a lot of distance, and it's very smooth, very fun. I really enjoy. It's just a very solid platformer, and I love platformers. I think this game does a great job of being a platformer.
It is a fantastic platformer.
Uh, Noah, favorite boss?
I'm gonna go with Talkman.
It's a very fun fight.
It was fun, and it was the only one that was somewhat difficult.
That is correct. It was pretty hard. I agree with you.
It
Um,
was
my,
somewhat difficult.
yeah. My favorite is the King Galaxian fight, the Galaga shooter. It's one of those kind of like bullet hell shooting things, kind of like the plane levels from Cuphead. Just
Yeah, I don't love
I love those
those.
types. I love yeah no I do. I knew you wouldn't, but I love those types of games and levels. I thought it was very fun. Okay, Noah, miscellaneous thing you liked.
The soundtrack. The soundtrack of Pac-Man World games is always fantastic to me,
It's a good
and
soundtrack.
those songs live in my head rent free.
Yep. Uh, and also, I'll tie this in with mine, but the integration of Pac-Man into a 3D platformer is what I said. I did talk about it earlier. Um, yeah, just bringing all those classic Pac-Man things and making them fit into a 3D platformer and doing it very well, is awesome. I think they did a great job. It's very fun. The music is even a part of that because a lot of the tracks in this game are kind of remixes of the classic Pac-Man theme,
Yep.
and they all work very well. They're all very fun and they're different enough that I never felt like it was just repeating the same thing over and over again.
Even if it was, it's like the Cantina band, the Most Likely Cantina band, and you'll listen to that song on repeat all day.
Absolutely, I will. Noah, anything you did not like about Pac-Man World Re-Pac? Noah?
The lack of power-ups, I was thinking,
Oh,
pardon.
sorry.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the lack of power-ups. I felt like Pac-Man World 2 had maybe four distinct power-ups that you could pick up and something actually happened to Pac-Man. And in this game, it's really only the metal one, and that's it. Granted, the power pellet does feel like more like a power-up because Pac-Man actually changes in design and it's really cool and
Yeah,
impactful.
I I agree with you. I think there could have been more power-ups. My big thing, as I've said many times, I think the game overall is just too easy. And I think a perfect example of this is lives. There's a trophy to get 99 lives. I thought that was going to be annoying. It wasn't, especially with the slot machine. One thing that is interesting about Pac-Man World is it doesn't, at least Re-Pac, I don't know about the original, but Re-Pac does not stop you at 99 lives. You can keep going. Noah, when I beat the final boss, I had 231 lives.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was funny, but also I'm like, man, this game's just so easy. I have so many lives. It's just nothing. Yeah, it's just too easy. Um,
I don't have a problem with a nice, chill, easy game.
yeah, whatever. It's fine. Again, that's also like if I have to say something bad about the game, that is what I would say. It is not something that I am complaining about while I'm playing it because, like you said, it was nice. It was very nice to have this chill, very easy game I was playing. In contrast to like say playing Sekiro and stuff.
I knew
It
that's the
was
one
very
you were
nice.
going to mention.
Yeah, too sleazy. Did you do that?
I wrote that, yeah.
Wow.
You have to, I was going to say you have to buy extra controllers for how mad Sekiro makes you. Um,
Uh,
Jaden, what do you think about the replayability of Pac-Man World Re-Pac?
yeah, I think like it's fun, it's easy and short enough that I would play this again. I absolutely think there will come a time when in like maybe a few months even when I'm bored and I'm just gonna not necessarily feel like playing something new and I'm just gonna throw in Pac-Man World, just run around a few levels, do some mazes, have a good time.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is replayable because we have actually, felt that way about for a long time. It was completely replayable to us. We've gone back and played Pac-Man World 2 multiple times.
Oh, multiple times, absolutely. Now we're gonna talk about DLC. So this game actually had paid DLC. There is a bonus Pac-Man skin and a jukebox mode. The bonus Pac-Man skin costs 99 cents. The jukebox mode, which allows you to just listen to the songs of the game without having to go into a level, was 2.99. And all I have to say is, why?
What is the
Um,
Pac-Man skin?
I don't know. It's weird. It, Look it up if you
Wow,
want. It's yeah.
that is wow. That's an interesting decision, but sure.
Yeah. Um, the jukebox mode, I feel like kind of annoys me, if anything, because many games come with jukebox modes or include them as DLC, looking at Sonic Frontiers, for
Yep.
free. And what do you do? Like, you're not doing anything new here. You're literally just making a menu where you can listen to the songs that were already written and exist. The fact that you're charging people $3 to listen to music in this game, in this day and age, especially when they could just go on YouTube and have a free jukebox mode, by just looking up the tracks. Absolute insanity. I have no clue why they thought this was a good idea.
Despicable. No matter how much that soundtrack slaps.
Yeah, and my cheeks were red after playing this game.
Wow.
because yeah, it slapped so hard. Anyway,
Your ass cheeks?
no, my face cheeks, Noah, my face cheeks. God damn it, you ruin everything. Anyway,
Well,
Noah, Noah, what are your final thoughts on Pac-Man World?
um, Pac-Man World, I said this to you when I first talked about it, was I thought it was the great foundation for Pac-Man 2. The remake is very well done. A lot of the things I liked about it were changes, which I didn't know, and I find that to be very cool. I love when a company who does a remake throws their little flair into the game. Other than that, I think it's an excellent platformer. It has a lot of replayability. It's an iconic character, so if you love Pac-Man, there's a lot there for you because there's a whole story with dialogue and lore in Pac-Man. Jaden, what do you think?
I completely agree with you. I think this game is great. I can absolutely see the foundations for Pac-Man World 2 that were there. I also think, this is something that plays into it being so easy. Again, which is why it's like sort of a complaint I have, but also sort of not, is I think this is a very first platformer game type of game. I think if you wanted to introduce someone to platformers who does not have a lot of experience, I think this is like the perfect game for that because it's easy, it's an
I
established
completely agree.
character. It is fun. I think because I go and I play some platforming games like Crash Bandicoot. I mean, like, yeah, Crash Bandicoot's a big one. You could say some of the older Spyro levels are a bit crazy, especially in the first one. Looking at you, Treetops. You could say, yeah, some of the like Mario 64 levels, like all these early platformers that are hypothetically marketed towards children, and they're really hard. Like, they are hard games. And there are a lot of those games that I play as an adult man, and I think, dude, how the hell did a kid in the 90s figure this out? I can't believe this. It was like, this is a kid's game. Are you kidding me? But Pac-Man World is a game that I played and I think, oh yeah, like kids could do this, and I think it would be no problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was a
Uh,
funny rant.
yeah, I just think it's just something I've thought so many times playing like Crash and stuff, like and playing the treetops level in Spyro, that I'm just sitting there thinking this is a kid's game. What the
I
there
think about
yeah,
it,
there are aspects that as an adult I'm
I
like,
think
dude,
about
I
it
don't know how
less
people
like an
figured this out.
age thing and more like an experienced gamer. Like, as somebody who has spent
Mm,
20 plus years avidly gaming,
yeah.
if I can't figure this out, how can somebody just picking up a controller for the first time play this game?
Yeah, I get you. Um yeah. But I think, even and especially compare it to, I think, Crash 2. We recently played through Crash 2 on our YouTube channel, wink, wink, wink. And if you remember some of the backtracking and reverse paths and specific instances where you have to stop and turn around in that game is absolute insanity. And again, it's technically a kid's game. And yeah, I'm just like, dude, I don't know how people figured this out playing this game when it came out. It's just, this is insanity. And then this game is so nice and user friendly. I really give it that I hold it in high regard because of that. Anyway, now it is time for the indie bit, the bit where we talk about indie games.
Whoop, whoop.
Uh,
Sorry.
anyway, today, no, we're talking about last day of June. So last day of June, you play as it is. Well, first, I guess you play as his name is Carl. This man Carl. He and his wife June were out enjoying a nice day at the lake. On the way
You
home,
spoiled it.
their car crashed, and unfortunately, June passed away, and Carl lost the use of his legs. Months later, as Carl is still, understandably depressed, he discovers that he can travel through June's old paintings of people and relive their memories of the day the crash happened. And in doing so, Carl attempts to rewrite history and bring June back. by preventing the crash and changing kind of what these people are doing the day that it happened. The game is a puzzle game. That's probably the best way to describe it, where kind of going through this kind of same day, this same little map over and over again as three different people, basically for a large chunk of the game. There's a young boy. There is what is called the best friend, um, June's best friend, and the hunter. And you're going through just trying to do different things with these people, opening doors as one character to then switch to another character to be able to go through that new door to discover a new potential path through the day for them, find collectibles, and get through the day and save June's life. Yeah, I feel like that's a good explanation. Noah, did you like Last Day of June?
Jaden, all these minimalist, similar type of games you've been picking. All right, I should go back and look through all of our indie bits and count them up, how many there have been.
I just want to say,
As we move forward, this should be the example. This should be what we compare it to, because this to me is the epitome. This is the peak of what these games are. I'll tell you about my experience with this game real quick. I downloaded it, I started playing it, and I was like, okay, it's like 4 hours, I think, so I'll play it for an hour, and then throughout this week, I'll just play it for like an hour every day, and then I'll have it done by the time we record this podcast. That first session, I played for 3 hours, and I got to almost the end of the game. I was on the last, or the second to last, or the last person. I can't remember. I was like either just over halfway or close-ish to the end, and I ate lunch or something like that. And I was talking about it with my partner, who then went back to studying after we ate. So I was either going to record something else myself or play more of this. But I was so into this, I was like, I just want to get back to it. Like, it's so good. And we just played Virginia not that long ago, which I picked, uh, kind of just as a random game. And something parallel I noticed between this and that is the lack of dialogue, either written or voiced. Everything is just kind of like visual storytelling or sounds here and there.
Uh-huh.
And this game did it so well. You did not miss a beat on what is happening in this story. And it's so sad. It's very well told. It's gripping. The gameplay, the puzzles were intricate due to the time travel. Each character was unique, had their own cool little story that you go through. And the whole game had an interesting kind of theme / message to it, I thought.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I loved it.
Okay, so when you said my whole picking similar games thing, does this not apply to that? Because I
No, this
really can't
applies to
tell.
that. This is like those games in gameplay and in
I do not
style,
think it is.
but
I do not think it is at
it's a
all,
level
actually.
above in artistry and theatrics and
Uh-huh.
storytelling.
I do agree with you on that. Yeah. I also really like this game. It's really sad, man. It's really damn sad. Like I finished this game and I thought to myself, "Oh, I could never play this with Haley around. She'd lose it. She would hate it. It is so incredibly sad." I think, as you said, the puzzle solving is pretty intricate with the time travel. I think it's very, it's fun. I overall also really like the art style of this game. I think the people having balloon heads is a bit but the actual kind of everything else, I think the game looks very nice and is very well made.
The environment.
Yeah, the environment. I did also want to comment on, as you said, lack of dialogue. I think the people make sounds in this game. It's not like Virginia where it is completely silent, but the sounds honestly kind of annoy me that they make, but that's whatever. Yeah, I do think it's very interesting that we always seem to kind of have indie bits of similar style / themes, um, maybe mechanics
That is
close
really
to each
funny.
other. We do that a lot, and it's unintentionally every time. But it's like you said, there is no dialogue in this game, and we just did Virginia, which also had no dialogue. And again, as you said, Last Day of June does it so much better. Uh, as I
Right, it's just
ranted
an
about,
excellent example.
yeah, as I ranted about when we talked about Virginia, I never knew what the hell was going on. And in Last Day of June, I always was on board. I always knew what was going on. Towards the end, I think it got a little bit more confusing, but even then, I was able to, kind of, okay, I'm 90% sure this is going on. Whereas in Virginia, I gave up and I was just like, I got no clue. I have no clue.
I agree with you. The
So,
ending was
it,
confusing.
yes, so I think Last Day of June certainly has this. I think proves, in contrast to Virginia, that telling a good story without dialogue is absolutely possible. You just have to do it the right way, and Last Day of June does. Yeah, this was a very fun game. I greatly enjoyed it.
Right, as far as indie bits go, I would honestly give this a 10 out of 10. Would recommend.
Oh, I am shocked. I had absolutely no idea how you would react to it.
Any
Um,
game that I can't put down is going to
that's
stand
fair.
out to me.
That's fair. Yeah. Um, it's a good one. I guess I'll also be honest. I don't like Carl. I don't like playing as Carl. Um,
But he's in the wheelchair.
yeah, but he's also bald, and you know how much I hate bald people.
Oh my God, what if our listeners are bald? Our dad is bald.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
no, just a flag warning. The Super Gamer Bros don't have anything against bald people
uh,
or follically challenged if it were.
follically challenged.
But yeah, I heard that somewhere and I thought it
Yeah,
was funny.
that's I like that. Um,
Uh, so do you want
yeah,
to know
no,
what the
but
next game is,
seriously,
or
I
or
was just gonna say, yeah. Let me just wrap up here. But seriously, it is a great game. Again, the only thing I can say I don't like about this game is the character designs. Again, the balloon heads that they have, I think is just kind of distracting for how beautiful the story and the rest of the game itself is. But yeah, it is a great game. I would absolutely recommend it.
yeah, I
Noah,
do think the balloon heads do give it that creepy tone, though,
yeah,
and it
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
needed that.
yeah. Okay, okay, I can get that. I get what you're saying there. I can agree with that. Noah, what is the next indie bit?
All right, the next indie bit we're going to play is going to be Supergiant's Mass or Bastion. Bastion is
Wait a
one of
minute.
the earlier games in their forte, if I'm not
It was
mistaken.
Yeah, it was their
Yeah, there we go.
first,
And
very well received.
it was the last I played. If you actually want to watch it, you can go to our YouTube channel. There's a full playthrough of
Wink, wink,
Bastion
wink.
by me.
You gotta wink every time you do it.
They didn't hear it.
Well, no, I'm just saying you didn't say it. I'm just
No,
saying you gotta say it.
but I
Like
winked.
wink, wink. Oh, but you did wink. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
They'll
there you
hear
go.
they should hear your wink when this goes live. Um, yeah, I ever since I played Transistor, which that was one of our earlier indie bits, one of our very early indie bits. I've always wanted to play Bastion. It was Supergiant's first game, and they're very good at making games. And it was on sale a few weeks ago. Actually, it's probably maybe a month or two at this point. And I bought it, and I thought, boom, that'll be an indie bit. Play it, see how it is. I'm excited that you played it first, and you seem to very much enjoy it, so I'm excited to play it.
Oh yeah. I
Yep.
can give it the guarantee that Jaden will love it.
Yeah, Bastion, I'm excited for it. I am excited for it. So we will play that for the next episode. That's cool. That's cool. Anyway, oh, before we wrap up here, Noah, I've been meaning to say this for like 4 episodes, but one, we've reached 60 episodes. That's pretty cool. Um,
Woo!
I'm pretty sure this is 64. I kept forgetting to talk about reaching 60. It's yeah, I'm pretty sure we're at 64 now. Also, again, this happened a long time ago, so I don't even know what the exact number is now. It's probably way higher, but we reached 4,000 total downloads. That's cool too.
Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah, so again, I I put those in my notes like probably at this point 2 months ago to mention in an episode, and I kept forgetting to add it to the episode document. So now we finally mentioned it. We reached 60 episodes, 4,000 downloads. Go us, we're the best.
I'm proud of
Anyway,
us.
proud of us. Anyway, guys, don't forget new episodes every other Monday. Rate and subscribe. Tell us if you like our show, or tell us if you don't. And, tell us why. Tell your friends and enemies about the podcast. And you can follow our Instagram, The Super Gamer Bros, for updates on episodes. And you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Super Gamer Bros. That is one word, capital S, capital G, capital B, period at the end, where we upload videos every day, Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. We upload gameplay videos, a different game every day of the week with the two of us. Also, sporadically, Noah uploads gameplay of just him playing some games. Also, we upload shorts pretty much every day. So check all those out. Anyway, thanks for listening, and yeah, we will see you guys next game.
Bye.